Welcome back, everyone, here to another show. It's your host, Annalena. Super excited to be here with you all. And I have a very wonderful guest with me today. Her name is Luna Battalia. I will read your amazing bio in just a little bit. But before that, I just want to give you a warm welcome. Hello.
Hi. Yeah, so blessed and thankful to be here with you and your audience today.
Yeah, I'm also very happy we connected. So, Luna is the founder of Caru Creative, a full spectrum branding, messaging, and website studio, and the creator of Animist Branding, a psychology driven approach to marketing shaped by her 15 plus years at the intersection of digital marketing and buyer psychology. She partners with leading mission driven women entrepreneurs who are building a personal brand world that reflects the depth and impact they lead with. Through her messaging and attraction brand strategies, she helps clients transform their voice, build legacies over businesses, and communicate with bold, unignorable confidence through her one-on-one work, the brand studio services, and a suite of self-paced digital products. It always sounds quite amazing, right? When we have somebody else read their bio.
I know, I kind of forget what it says, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's what we do. That's all the things.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mouthful.
Awesome. So this is a very important topic, and myself, I'm obviously also an online entrepreneur, so I feel very seen in everything that you say. And also a topic that many people struggle with,
Mhm.
to actually like, you have these life-changing services, but then how are you going to actually articulate this? And then we don't want to be salesy, right? Because so many of us have also, I think, a fair share of experiences with that, often actually on the buyer side as well. And we're like, yeah, I don't want to fall into this. But then we become kind of the best hidden secret where nobody really knows what
Right.
you're doing, but you're like secretly changing lives in the corner. So I just would love to hear a little bit about your story and what led you into this work.
Yeah, I've had a journey with my career, and my career's been something that I've just kind of said yes to as the opportunities have come. It wasn't so much of a strategic, I'm going to build X. It just kind of fell into my lap. I worked in fashion, I worked in addiction care, I had much more of like a counseling psychology practice, working in prisons and in addiction care. And then I went to go get a master's in spiritual psychology. And we were often broken up into these trios where there was a client, a facilitator, and a neutral observer. And my coaching practice birthed from there. And my classmates were basically like, do you do this? Do you have packages? And I was like, packages? Yes. I have no idea what that is, but I'm going to say yes, yes, I do. And it just kind of revealed itself to me. And then I found the coaching world, and I really stepped into coaching women in their leadership, in women who had big visions, who wanted to bring it to life. And I did that for a long time and I really loved it. And then COVID happened and everything shifted. People weren't investing in
Hmm.
high-end coaching packages. And I pivoted to something that I had been doing for a long time, kind of secretly behind the doors, which was branding. And I had been doing it for my own brand. I'd been doing it for some friends, and I had been doing it my whole life in different ways. Was always into art and creativity and drawing and illustration and beauty and making things
Hmm.
interesting. And having been an entrepreneur myself and having my own business for a while and working with all these female entrepreneurs and looking at their businesses and their structures and helping them behind the scenes, I realized that so much of what I was doing was the branding and strategy. And so when COVID happened and I found all these people losing jobs who had skills that needed to find a way to share their skills to make money because their jobs were changing, their careers were changing, I was like, I just put out an offer and to my list, which was pretty substantial at the time already. And I was like, hey, I'm doing these like messaging sessions, I'm doing these packages, and it just took off. I tripled my income in a year where a lot of people really struggled and businesses lost a lot of money. And it just kind of was a clear sign to me that this was the path forward at that time. And it was also a nice reprieve. I had been doing depth work and counseling work and working in these really challenging, um, but very rewarding communities. And I had a bit of compassion fatigue. And so working on
Mhm.
branding was like, it was like a breath of fresh air of what people were creating. And I really needed that shift in my own life as well. And so I took the opportunity and just kind of went all in. And it's been so rewarding over the last 5 or 6 years. And it kind of was what I was already doing, but the positioning changed, the front end marketing changed, the deliverables shifted, but the core of it of supporting women to live their purpose more fully and deeply, doing it similar to what you do, but in a different way,
Yeah.
has always been the undercurrent. So that didn't
Mm.
change, the audience stayed the same. And so there was just a pivot that's really nourished me and seems to be nourishing a lot of other people. So I'm really grateful for the
Mm.
opportunity.
Thank you for sharing the story. So I'm going to weave a little bit of human design wisdom in
Yes.
this because
Okay,
your
great. Yes.
story is a beautiful example. Because I mean, human design oftentimes is just taught with these five types, very cookie cutter, right? But there is some
Okay,
universal
wait.
wisdom.
So
Yeah.
human design is like the generator, manifester, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that
Okay,
kind of
okay,
thing.
okay.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and that is something that can be helpful, but often also it can lead to people put themselves into boxes, and I'm not such a fan of that. I work more with the archetypes and the
Mm,
overall energetics that human design is teaching. And one of the big things is that we're here to, respond to life and let invitations come to us. And honestly, that
mm,
that applies to everyone. And your story is such a beautiful model of it because you were not trying to figure out with your mind what you should do. You were just kind of responding to what happened, and you were just in a place of compassion and service, right? And
mhm.
then like somebody asks you have a package and you're like, "Oh, this feels good in my body. Yeah, I'm gonna have a package." And of course, like it's not like you sat down and like, how am I gonna have a six-figure business or something like that, right? Because I think that's often where people get so frustrated and things just don't work out because you have a unique path. Nobody has your skills. I mean, maybe similar how we can label them with words today, but nobody has the magic sauce that you bring to the world, right?
Mhm.
And I think the more open we can be to kind of the signs of the universe, things that we're being asked, like where life is like pulling us towards.
Yeah.
And your body always guides you on this path. And I think that is just such a beautiful testimony of how
Mm.
you have just like naturally allowed, you have received your path. And like, yeah. And it's also what I always find that what we're meant to be doing is so much easier than we thought it really has to be, right? Because
It can be.
yeah, you love it. You love the beauty. You love the aesthetics. You enjoy what you're doing. And of course, it's hard work, but it like there is this flow and effortlessness. Would you say that?
Yeah, something being hard, like difficult, and something being hard work, I think are very different things. And
Yeah.
I really like, I'm a doer. I'm a generator.
Mm-hmm.
I like hard work. I like to
Mm-hmm.
figure things out and there's fun in it. And I think that nourishes me in a way that other people might feel different. But there's something when I think things are hard when a lot of it is how we approach them,
Yeah.
especially with like a lot of business strategy and brand strategy that I do. It's like you can have the same strategy and five people can implement it and have different experiences and different results. And so I think so much of it is the approach to what we're doing and the relationships that we have with ourselves and our brands that create like what's hard. But yeah, it's like hard work when you fulfill it. It can be so rewarding and
Yeah.
pay off.
Yeah. Because exactly it lights you up. Yeah. So when I was looking at your website and also I checked out your Instagram and I'm personally also I love beauty, I love aesthetics. And so I'm not a brand strategist like you in any way or form, right? I focus more on human design and everything, but in my own process, so anytime when I create a new program or like an offer, I have learned about myself that I need to have the aesthetics first.
Hmm.
So once I have like a graphic for my program, and like I love playing with Canva and things like that,
Hmm.
like I kind of get the essence and how it feels, and then I can also write the landing page and things like that. And I'm also a very picky buyer. If somebody has like a website and
Yeah.
it's just like really boring and really turning off aesthetically, like I'm not gonna buy. Like
I'm
I
like that with
need,
restaurants.
huh?
I'm like that with restaurants. I'm
Yeah,
like, if I go to your website and your website's whack, I'm like, oh, this looks really good, but I don't want to eat here.
yeah. And I think that's probably like if you and I are like this, right? And it's not
Of course.
because I know there's also people that just have a Word document and that's how they sell and that has its
Hmm.
place. And maybe that also fits in my business model at some point in some way, but the overall presence, like my website, like the colors, the whole feel, the fonts, it just needs to be beautiful. Like, and also I like minimalistic when it's too crowded. I
Yeah.
also kind of get turned off because I think it speaks to my nervous system already, the energy of a person. And when I saw your site, I was like, ooh, well, I love it. I loved how your Instagram looked like, your website, also of then the words you were sharing as well. So that's yeah, I think beauty is just like how we connect oftentimes.
Yeah, and I think I love what you're sharing because I think we're very similar in this way, which likely means that we both have audiences that feel similarly.
Yeah.
And my clients, like there are clients who just, I have people who've been very successful. They've never had a website. They've had a landing page for
Mm-hmm.
one offer and they've sold out and made millions with this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that the people in my sphere, we share this value of beauty.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to communicate something to my audience that's going to be different than the person who just wants to is looking for the bullet points of what's delivered. It's like the whole experience. And I love that you spoke to the nervous system because I think language and visuals are really, messaging and visuals are really going to elicit some kind of experience in the body, in the mind, in the nervous system. And when we're really intentional about what it is that we know that our audience wants to feel, or that we want them to feel on their behalf, like that we know that would benefit them, even if they don't have the same language,
Mm-hmm.
that everything is crafted to give them that experience. The movement through
Yeah.
the page, the spaciousness, the visuals, the colors, the fonts, the energy, all of it, particularly the messaging is going to do that, but it's really about the congruency. So
Mm-hmm.
if the visuals communicate one thing and then the message communicates a slightly different thing and then the Instagram creates a slightly different thing, that sense of incongruency is kind of confusing to people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just think that your audience and my audience both are lovers of beauty. And I can imagine that's just a shared value. So of course I want to give them that experience because it's such a value of mine in my life and my business.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's something that people feel like when they come into your home and they're like, wow, your home feels so good. It's like that's how I want people to feel when they come to my website or
Mm-hmm.
in relationship with my brand in any way. It's just like, oh, it feels so good in here.
Yeah. And this leads me now to the next point because I definitely have gone through this and I still work on it. It's this challenge that we often want to be for everyone, but we never can. I think you
Mm.
have actually mentioned it on your website. I was looking through it. So, what's your advice here? Because there are a lot of people out there that they could care less about how a website looks like, right? They're just
Mhm.
trying to get the results and they don't care about aesthetics and things like that. So I think one of the things we have narrowed down on for our audiences, what we have in common is that people love beauty and aesthetics, right? And something that speaks to your nervous system. Because I still have this idea myself sometimes, like I can kind of help everyone, right?
Mhm.
But then I learn always that my ideal client is kind of a version of me a little while
Yeah.
ago. That's what I always get to.
Yes. So I love this. I think another thing that our audiences both probably share, besides a love of beauty, is being multi-passionate. It's something that I find a lot of
Yeah.
women like myself, like yourself, I want to say, especially in business, can feel like a struggle with because there is this energy that's like niche down, be specific. And I think that when you have, I support mostly people with personal brands. They have
Mm,
a service-based business, but a personal brand. So their face, their name, their presence is a huge part of what is attracting people to the brand. Not like Nike, where there's no person behind it. It's very
yeah.
personal.
Yeah.
So I like to have the specificity of what the business is and who it serves, and to allow those passions to kind of be these supporting walls where you're letting people in to see a little bit, but it doesn't become your brand. So like I have lots of hobbies, and I'm a maker and a crafter and I goldsmith and I love flower arranging and redecorating my house and all these things. And how can I, if I want to share those things because they allow people to see more of me, how can I weave it back to the core message? How can I weave it back to something that this is messaging? It's like weaving it back to what the audience might be feeling. So, how can I talk about this other thing that doesn't really feel like my business and weave it back into what the business's core message is, what the audience is, the problem and solution that we're solving? And so, I think a lot of times what I do is like, yes, you can serve everyone. And while we're looking for audience, because it's really valuable to have a sense of who you're talking to demographically, psychographically. Psychographics are usually much more important to me in my work, but demographics are important. If you're a Latina business coach in New York who are helping women in their middle age get out of corporate, then all those demographics are really important to your brand voice and your audience and your aesthetic and the brand presence, because you're speaking to someone very specific. But the psychographics of what the audience is really longing for. So you might have what feels like different groups of people, but my sense is underneath there's this current that actually weaves them all together. And that's the thing you want to speak to more than a very specific type of audience, is the specific type of experience that they're having, or challenge or situation or problem, and the way, and then educate them on the way that you solve the problem, because you have a unique way of going about approaching that problem. And they've probably been trying to, a purchase ready person, a buyer ready person is they know the issue. They're not learning what's going on for them. They've already had the aha moment, and they've probably dabbled in trying to find different solutions, whether it's listening to a podcast or signing up for a course, and it didn't really solve their problem. So they're still on the search. And so then you come and you're giving them a perspective shift. And I like to think of the perspective shift as a TED Talk. When you're giving a TED Talk, you are speaking to the audience's core belief around the topic that you're speaking to, and you're trying to change their mind and see this one thing that you're talking about differently. And if you could change their mind about one thing, that's what a good TED Talk does. It helps the audience shift their perspective around one thing and go from this belief to this belief. And that's what your messaging is doing. And when you do that well, you're really telling your audience how confident you are in your approach. When you do it short, quick, easy, concisely, confidently, they're getting that. And so I think the bigger picture of having like, I can help a lot of people also has to do with women and that maternal nature that can do everything, but we're kind of unlearning that. Just because I can doesn't mean I should.
Yes.
Like I can probably help all these people, but is that going to benefit them? And is it going to benefit me? Like, would them working with someone who's slightly more XYZ actually be a better fit for them? Not that they wouldn't get any value, but is it the highest, most aligned option for them? And then is it the most nourishing thing for me? Am I working with people that I'm lit up, turned on, excited, and thrilled by? And everything is easy, from the discovery call to the contracted payment to the work together. And so the more you kind of get a sense of who those people are, then you just want to speak to those people, because business is easy and you get more referrals that way. You just like everything kind of amplifies and gets more attractive when you're really clear on who you can serve best. And then when your messaging reflects that, it pre-qualifies people. So the people who are not the right fit, they just go, oh, this isn't for me. I'm reading the copy, I'm reading the messaging. She's actually not speaking to me. Whereas when you're kind of speaking to everyone, then you're getting on discovery calls with people who are like, I'm not sure. And like, I want to get on discovery calls with people who are like, great, I've read everything. I'm a yes. Here's my questions. Like, how do we do this? So messaging is the key to that, and the visuals and the brand strategy and everything else just kind of supports that. But it's less about the demographics of the audience niche and more about what is the emotional undercurrent that's weaving all those people together. And that's how I speak to the niche, is like that emotional piece, that thread.
I love this because when I started my coaching journey, it was definitely mainly about the demographics, and I couldn't
Hmm.
have a like full life of it. It's like, yeah, but I can't. I don't want to exclude people below 30. And
Hmm.
it didn't make sense. And so it's called psychographics.
So yeah, so demographics and psychographics.
Yeah.
Psychographics are like, how do they make decisions? What
Yeah.
motivates their buying behavior? Like,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
thing that they find most valuable? So there are things that you're not necessarily directly speaking to,
Mm-hmm.
but knowing them is really important. So my audience, so like I have a friend, I have a client who's a travel agent, travel advisor.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things is that she's primarily helping moms who are busy, whether they're working moms or not working moms, they're just busy. And they're going to soccer and this and that, but family time is so important, but they don't get as much of it. And so vacations are about connection, not a break from each other. And so when you know that your audience's highest value is family, you're talking about travel.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a coach about family or like helping them with their home connection and communication. That's not, but knowing that their highest value is quality time with their family and that their busy life, even though they're all together, is not allowing that, then you get to frame vacations as not a break from that busy life, but an opportunity to break from the busyness to actually connect with each other. So
Mm-hmm.
psychographics would be really understanding your audience's highest values, their deepest desires, and it's like the underneath all of it. So I can give you another example is like I have a client who had some kind of like diet, health, wellness kind of approach. She was walking people through this protocol.
Mm-hmm.
And her audience demographically, wellness, interested in health and wellness, mid 30s, successful careers, like somewhere in their mid to late 30s or late 40s, successful, smart, listens to like health and wellness podcasts, that kind of thing. But she could speak to two different demographics people and talk about the same thing and with storytelling. And the storytelling is what is bringing the emotional current forward. And so you can give an example about a dad who has brain fog because he has all these dietary things and he's working so hard and he's got two boys and on the weekends they're begging to play catch with him, but he's just catching up from the week of pushing so hard and having so much brain fog that he's just on the couch kind of not participating. And the kids suffer and he suffers and they both really want to hang out and play catch together. So that's one thing. Then you might have oh, I love this example. It's kind of cheeky and fun, but like a woman who's young woman, successful in all the areas of her life, but she doesn't have a partner and she really wants to find her person and a family. And this is about diet and being phlegm free. And like,
Mm-hmm.
this has nothing to do with dating, but telling this story of the dad, of the woman who's dating, who has a hard time going out on dates and eating at restaurants because of her dietary stuff or her bowels, or like doesn't want to get in the Uber after the date because she's afraid she might pass gas or like go home with someone. Like, you're telling a story and it's these two different demographics of a young, single, successful woman and a middle-aged dad. But all of these people can relate with the heart of the story. And those people have this same different symptoms, but a similar issue of a dietary thing that needs to be corrected that's impacting their life. And so the storytelling evokes the emotion, it shifts perspective, and it allows all different people to kind of resonate with what the brand does and how it can serve different audiences that have the same problem.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I can definitely tell that you're genius because I can see other things. Like I can see people's genius. That's my, one of my
Yes.
geniuses. You know what? That's what I mainly do with human design and gene keys in my work. But like this whole messaging and the storytelling, like just like how with ease you kind of have two completely different scenarios and it's kind of the same product that can speak to that person, but from a totally different background. That's really fascinating. So one thing in my audience, for example, what I have learned about myself and my clients is that I don't resonate with clients that have a very limited point of view on things, right? So, and
Mm,
especially in the human design space, sometimes things can get very, very rigid. Like
mm,
that they want something to tell you what to do, and that's not, I mean, no system can tell you what to do. Like that, unfortunately, doesn't exist. You're here to listen to yourself. And one of my biggest values, and something that has come easy to me since I'm a child, I can always see different perspectives very
mm,
easily, right? Like, hey, one thing resonates with you, and even if it's religions and things like that, right?
mhm.
Or like even a messaging coach, like we may all be doing the same thing, but one person is just gonna want to work with Luna, right? Because there's just this deeper resonance with this. And that your truth is your truth and my truth is my truth. And they can be completely different. And so I think one of the values is like open-mindedness, if that's the
Openness.
right
Yeah.
word. Like
Yeah.
how would I talk to that, for example, with the storytelling?
Great.
I would be
Yeah.
curious, like
So
what comes up for you.
I love this. Yeah. As soon as you started sharing, I was like, okay, this is the quality of openness.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to, it's really good to be aware of how this shows up in other people besides you. So looking at the clients who you've experienced have a strong quality of openness and the ones that don't, and
Mm-hmm.
or just keeping an eye on this when you're talking to people, when you go to a coffee shop, when you're sitting on the plane next to someone and you have a conversation, you're going to feel, once you start becoming aware of it, you're going to just notice it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a way of speech that a person who has a quality of openness has. And so what I would say is that your copy should reflect this quality of openness, because someone who has I forget the word, there's a word, let's just call it rigidity. That's not the best word, and it's not the word I really want to use, but there's like open and rigid. And I don't mean either of them as a judgment
Mm-hmm.
or there's no, they're neutral words. They're just oppositional and to create a sense of spectrum, right? So you notice what a quality of rigidity feels like, sounds like when you speak to someone who's like that. And you're going to be like, oh, cool. I know a bunch of brands and like people and copy. You're going to start to sense it and feel it. And so, this quality of openness, when you're writing your content, sales page, website copy, Instagram post, you're like, oh, this is one of my highest values as a business, as a brand for clients to have. So, like, I would put this in the top in the values.
Mm-hmm.
And amongst probably 3 or 4 other values that are really strong and important to you. And then my whole thing with values, because people identify these and then they never look at them or think about them or talk to them again. Or they like put them on their website somewhere. We value blah, blah, blah. It's like those corporate kind of things. And to me, the value should be something that is felt and expressed everywhere in your business: how you treat your contractors, how you treat your VA, how you onboard your clients. So if there's a quality of openness and then there's like a thing that's really rigid in your business, that's like an incongruency that's going to confuse the customer's experience. And so our job in running a business is to really be auditing and checking where the quality of openness is has more space to be expressed.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just look at website copy and really start listening to like what it sounds like in yourself, in your ideal clients, and what it doesn't sound like, and then be auditing. So not even trying to write that way, but auditing to look at like, oh, I actually learned this type of style of writing from a different coach or a different person or an Instagram marketing account that I follow. And it's actually not like, yeah, they say it works and it's a good strategy and this is good content, but it's not getting me the type of clients I want. And it doesn't really actually feel authentic to who I am. And so I think the first step is always auditing your business, auditing your brand, auditing your messaging, looking for, okay, what's the goal? What are the values? And where are the incongruencies? What is actually not allowing you to experience and achieve the goals you want with your business? And goals are not just income goals, but like your impact goals, who you're working with, legacy goals, things like this. And so I would say first start with an audit, second, track what it sounds like, and then rewrite or start to bring things into your newsletters and content that is more about qualities of openness. And so telling stories where there's you're either sharing from yourself, a client, a historical figure, a popular thing that's going on that reflects either, or you can communicate the same thing by actually painting the picture of rigidness, right? And
Mm,
you can it doesn't always have to be sharing openness. You can actually communicate that that's not what your business is about by highlighting what that feels like and looks like and sounds like,
mm,
and then like having some kind of opposition to it,
yeah.
right? And so it's like how we people will paint the picture of the problem or the world, and it's like, and but here's the solution. It's like you can kind of talk about this rigidity in a way, and I love real world examples, conversations that you're having with people that are actually happening in your life or things that are actually happening in your home, and what are the things that you and your audience have in common. It could be like places you might shop. Like it could be that a lot of them are moms or entrepreneurs or stay-at-home mompreneurs, or like what are the things that you have in common, and then tell stories that have commonalities,
Mm,
right? So if, telling a story about a toddler meltdown can be a great segue, right? So we're eliciting emotion and talking about perspective shifts, and then you segue into how it's related to the business. So everything is not so
mm,
just human design, Gene Keys, genius, but these kind of abstract things that can then people are like they're on the edge of their seat watching a movie where the episode of like what's going to happen, and then
mm.
you segue it to connect it back to your business and the core message, and that's like such a fun journey for people to go on versus like hearing this the kind of same repetitious thing. Not that you're doing that, I'm not saying that, I'm just giving an
Yeah, no,
example.
I know what you mean. Like the boring business jargon
Yeah,
that we
every
read
day.
everywhere, and that's a total turn off. Yeah, no, I really love this, and I love how you explain it because I know from myself, because you were talking about rigid and open,
Mhm.
and I'm definitely, I think sometimes I think that when I'm too open, I can fall into trying to be for everyone, if that makes sense. But I think I'm aware
Great.
of it at least. But the rigidity, I'm so turned off when I read something where it's like, these are the steps you have to take, and da
Right.
da 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 da. That's like,
But then you're
bye.
not. You're not for everyone,
Yeah,
because there's
yeah,
so many people who need those 5 steps to make a decision, and they need that
right.
type of content and copy.
Yeah.
And so by you actually being authentically open, because it's
Mm,
how you really are and it's the type of people you want to work with, and there's a way to like refine it so that you're getting a even, there's more qualities besides openness that are going to be used that help
yeah.
refine this. So it's not just this one quality that you're trying to get, it's
Mm,
probably a number of qualities that you're trying to attract for
mm,
your brand. And like magnetism is that you're not trying to attract, you're being
yeah.
yourself and you're being authentic and open, and all the rigid people just fall away. They're like, oh cool, yeah, no, not for me, thanks so much for being so
Mm,
clear about
mm,
who you are and what your approach is like, so that I can actually see that this isn't for me.
mm.
When you're trying to be for everyone, those people are like, maybe this is for me. And what
Yeah.
you want is like, nope, and like clear yeses and clear nos.
Mm,
And so that's good feedback for people. Like if you're getting on the phone with people, you're getting feedback or testimonials or sales, and people are not clear by the time they've gotten on the phone with you,
yeah.
then that's a messaging issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, your messaging isn't doing its job. It could be doing so much more legwork for you so that those calls are way easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love this because you can be open and all of this, and you can still be very specific, right? And I think that's
Yes.
really the thing. So for those of us that have a lot of people-pleasing issues, I think
Oh yeah,
that's
I read that
often
on your website.
yeah, I mean that's literally like I think the story of my life and a topic I address with a lot of my clients because there's this fear of rejection often, no? And until I realized that I'm actually rejecting myself
Uh-huh.
when I'm operating from this fear, right? Because I'm trying to run away from the fear by trying to be for everyone. But this like actually celebrating a clear no, because every clear no, and I've said this so many times, but really like feeling that in your body, that is actually giving space for the clear yeses, right?
Yes.
It's better than because if I have a million people, like let's say I have 10 people that are neither a yes or no. It means you have nobody, right? As a
Right.
client. But if
Right.
I have nine people that are no and I have one person that's a clear yes, that's actually so much better. I think I had
It
like
is
a little like realization of like how clear messaging is actually, I think the best thing it can do is to repel the people that are not for you.
100%.
So you can just naturally attract and make space for the people that are for you. Yeah. Thank you
Can I
for,
speak to the, oh, sorry, go ahead, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, no, go ahead.
I want to talk to the people pleasing thing because
Yeah.
I remembered seeing that. And that's not one of my challenges in life. I've got a lot of
Mm,
other things, but
yeah.
that's not one of them. And the way I often experience this with clients, and I love that this is something for your audience and for yourself. And I remember seeing it as like top of line on your website that, and we were talking about like, okay, there's all this demographic, but that's one of the undercurrents. And it's so specific because I would read that and be like, cool, I love what she's doing, but that's not me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so this people pleasing, I have to think my whole approach for getting people to pick the right fonts and colors and write the copy that's for them and the brand strategy of how they approach marketing their business is about their relationship with their brand entity. That their brand is something they birthed into being, just like a child or a book or an art piece, something that they created, and it has a life of its own. It's not us, it's not who we are. We're us, and it's something that we created, and we're tending it. We're in relationship with it. And so if I think about a child and I created my business like I would create a child, and I'm worried about what other people think of it versus how my child feels, like my brand, my business, like what do you need versus like what does, and so to me, the tending of your brand, the tending of the business and the relationship, our job is to steward our creations. That anything that we bring into this world, now we have a responsibility to steward it and or like bring it to completion in a dignified way.
Mm.
And so our job as stewards are to really tend the business, tend the brand itself and its needs, not necessarily like, yes, you're serving your clients, but if your brand can't do its job to get the right clients and help them in the best way they can, if you're sacrificing anything in that relationship. And so a lot of times people pleasing is different than perfectionism, but I'm sure that it can feel like the little tendrils that overlap.
Yeah,
But to me,
definitely.
perfectionism is like, now I'm making it about myself and I'm not in service anymore. I'm not in service to my clients. I'm not in service to my brand. I'm not in service to my creations. I'm no longer in a tending role. I'm now in self-preservation mode. And
Mm.
there's no service element when I'm in self-preservation. I think so many of at least the people and women that we're working with, it's all about service. It's all about giving their, what I call their holy contribution, their legacy work, their big thing in life. And so their genius, and like helping them find that thing. It's it has to be about being in service to that, not, oh, how are people going to perceive me? Is
Mm.
like just focus on the tending your creation. And I promise it'll all the answers, the content. When you have a relationship with your brand, this is the animist branding, is that your brand is alive. It has a soul. The animist approach believes that everything is living and has energy and soul. And so yeah, that perfectionism, that people pleasing, it to me, it just removes us from the role that we're supposed to be in, which is service and tending and relationship.
Mm. Yeah, I
And
love.
so it's just
Mm.
reorientation. So every time I can find myself or a client in that loop, I'm like, oh, what is your brand asking of you? Like, how did it need to be served today? And it just kind of reorients you back to
Mm.
what the point is.
Yeah, I love that shift in perspective. It's really like, how can I please me and my brand rather than trying to please other people, right? Or trying to be liked in some way. That's,
Especially for marketing, that's just not,
mm-hmm.
it's just, it's got to be, it has to have that kind of like unapologetic confidence.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I
I
do. This is what I'm like, genius. This is my genius,
I
and Go ahead.
I love how you said in your bio, communicate with bold, unignorable confidence. That's definitely, yeah.
Yeah, because if people have the option to ignore you, there's so many distractions
Oh,
and
yeah.
they're just moving on to the next thing that when your branding and your messaging is truly like, it doesn't have to be that like bold colors and fonts and like in your face and like using F-bombs to like get people's attention. Like, if that's authentically you,
Yeah, no,
do
not for
it.
me.
But yeah, if it's not authentically you, it's like, okay, when
Hmm.
I say bold, unignorable, I just mean turning up the volume on your
Yeah.
authentic ways of expression and your brand's authentic ways of expression.
Hmm.
And sometimes your brand, like a child, stretches you to grow and express and experience things that are not your comfort zone. So it's not just your personal comfort zone, it's the
Yeah.
brand's voice. So my brand's voice might be more extroverted than me. And how can I support it? How can I create the environment for which it can thrive and it can communicate most authentically? That might not be my personal strength. Just like when you create a child, they have different strengths than you, just like your business.
Mm.
Just because you don't have those strengths doesn't mean your brand entity as a whole might not have different strengths and weaknesses. That's why you outsource stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. Amazing. So I think everybody can sense your deep skills for this communication and messaging craft. And so what is the best way for people, that feel a little pulled towards your work? I think you have different ways. You have obviously have one-on-one work that you offer, but you also have, I think, group containers or even do-it-yourself programs. Like, what's a good way to start for people if they want to get a taste of your work?
Perfect. The best way to start is the self-paced courses. There's one called Magnetic Messaging. Oh, it's called Messenger. We rebranded. It's called Messenger, Master the Art of Being Heard.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like brand messaging and also copywriting. So some marketing pieces, storytelling. It has the like a huge questionnaire in there for the psychographics to take interviews of people who are your ideal
Mm-hmm.
clients. It's really it's everything I do that I've crafted over the last 15 years around messaging that I walk my one-on-one clients through in a 4-hour session. So when you work one-on-one in the brand studio at Caru Creative, we've got messaging, branding, business and brand strategy, and websites. And so you can work with the studio and do a la carte or package any of those items. But if you're just trying to start on your own, there's a bunch of, self-paced courses and products and copywriting and how to website, one's for website and one's for branding and all of that. But Messenger is really the foundational piece because for me, all branding starts with messaging. Even though I know that you said for you, like the essence, like to get that aesthetic and give it to, I
Mm-hmm.
like that too.
Mm.
But
Well, it
I,
goes together. I mean, I do
yeah,
definitely both. Yeah.
I say copy dictates design, and that's specific for
Mhm.
websites. Copy dictates design. Your copy is going to create the shape more than like I want the photos and then I'm fitting things later. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, but I want people to see the words because the words are going to be what makes it sell.
Yeah.
So Messenger is a great place to start, and I would love to give your audience 10% off of Messenger with the code Annalena. And yeah, it's just a great way to, I mean, I think even if you're starting new or you've been in business for 10 years, it's something that so many people skip over and they created a lot of offers, but they didn't create a foundational brand. So you can have a successful offer and not even
Mhm.
have a brand,
Mm.
and so this really lays the foundation for what your brand's presence is going to be, which is its expression.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I'm a very big fan of foundational work and one step at a time, one shift at a time. It's so important because yeah, I can have everything beautiful, but if I cannot put words to it, so it definitely goes together. And we hear this a lot, like messaging is everything, but then it's also, at least for me, because also with storytelling, for example, from some people, I just don't get it. And other
Uh-huh.
people, like, oh my God, it just clicks, right? When it's the
Right.
right person for you. That's why I also, for my audience, because I have also worked with a messaging coach several years ago, and it was very pivotal in my business because before that, I was all over the place, but I still know that I probably have a lot to learn there.
Your
Um,
messaging is good. I looked at your
yeah,
website.
I mean, actually, I was gonna like, I should actually ask her, what does she think about my website? because she looked at it. It wasn't even like on my radar. But I have to say, I feel confident in my messaging. With, I know that I can take it a notch up. I can refine
It's
it.
the turning up the volume,
Yeah, exactly.
refinement.
Exactly. So when I put up a program and I have taken lots of courses also with very like conscious driven leaders
Mhm.
because what never worked for me was this like very demographic driven kind of marketing and then also this very persuasive marketing. Like I just
Yeah.
it's not my cup of tea. That's not how I like to talk to my clients. And
I don't
uh,
think your audience wants that either.
no,
There
and
are audiences where that works really well, and I
yeah,
don't think that's either of our audiences.
yeah. And I think I'm more like so my best, most ideal clients. There was no selling involved ever. It was literally
Yeah.
like the most effortless experience ever. And they even told me like, "Oh my God, I just love how you just got on the call with me and there was no pushing whatsoever." Like, I think for my nervous system, there's still this like, it's too easy
Uh-huh.
because we're still being like told, no, but you have to sell more and da 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 da, right?
Oh,
But
I'm all for easy. That's my jam.
yeah, and I talk about easy and effortlessness all the time. But just talking to you, I'm realizing like, yeah, I have it very clear, like crystal clear. And also with so my clients in human design, I do something very crazy. Like I'm using a different astrology behind, so that the human
Oh,
design is
cool.
all gonna change actually, and it can throw people off. But that's what resonates most with me and my clients, you know? It has taken me on this journey of trusting myself. And my most ideal clients, they're like, no, no, whatever you think is best. Like they're so open-minded, and
Yeah.
like I obviously communicate this also really well. I have a certification where I talk about it. Um, but yeah, there is no space for rigidness and just seeing things from one way in my world, you know. And I want to thank you just for kind of explaining it earlier on that I think I need to clarify that maybe a little bit even further and just make it even more specific because it's so juicy to work with these people and the
Yeah.
results are so incredible. They're so powerful, you know?
Messaging is something that we should be tweaking,
Yeah,
refining all the time because the brand is evolving.
yeah, yeah,
It's maturing, it's growing, it's evolving, and it's getting more clear and it's collecting data. So you
yeah.
have a bunch of experiences with people who are not like that, and you're going to be like, oh, that's really good data for me.
Mhm.
And like, what does that data tell me that I need to like turn the dial up or down here or there in order to get more of that result that I really loved? Like I got this result and it's been so easy, so effortless. I want more of that. Okay, it's I'm not 100% getting that. What is the things that are preventing me or helping me get that result, and then turning one dial down,
Mhm.
turning one dial up.
Mm. Yeah, and I love to refine. I have a lot of Virgo in my
Mm-hmm.
energy. So, and of course, we don't want to fall into perfectionism. And then there's the other thing where we're like, yeah, we don't want to constantly tweak and change. But for me, that's always part of the process. If something doesn't feel right, I'm just
Totally.
going to change it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, and you want to get it to a place where it feels really good, where it's not like you're rewriting your whole sales page every year or every time
Yeah,
you
yeah,
launch,
yeah,
but you should give it a once over. And
yeah.
if it's a year ago, I would hope that your brand has evolved, or the last time you led the program kind of just shifted something where you would just say it this way. And then you're getting more of those types of people in
Yeah.
the group.
Yeah. Yeah, and it keeps everything fresh, I feel, because I easily
Mhm.
get bored if I and also for me as the business, the brand, like it helps me reconnect, just like you rebranded your
Yeah.
messaging course, right? So it's just like hey, this is where I'm at right now. It's just a different kind of frame. So I love this. Awesome. Thank you so much for your wisdom. I'll make sure we're gonna share the link to your messenger course with that 10% coupon code. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those of you that feel called to dive in, it is here for you. Before I let you go, Luna, I always like to ask like this one big question. What's one nugget of wisdom that you feel has been most impactful in your life or your business that you want to share with the listeners?
It's funny. This happens on podcasts a lot. This is the question. And I have so many things, and I tend to repeat the same ones because that's the thing that's so impactful. And then I'm like, I don't want to be saying the same thing on every podcast, but I feel like this quality. I would say it's similar to the quality of openness, but for me, it's called adaptability.
Mm.
Adaptability is your saving grace. That quality of being able to um, pivot when needed and just adapt to like being in relationship with the things around you that are giving you information, that there isn't so much rigidity of just, we don't live in a vacuum of like, this is who I am and it's unchanging. There are unchanging parts of us, of course, this like soul essence, but I think that adaptability is one of the greatest things that I've learned to cultivate as someone who's felt in the past a lot of need for control to feel safety, is actually
Mm.
having the rug pulled out from under you and being able to feel confident in the ability to meet that, whether that's in business or life. Nobody comes out unscathed. It's that big kind of rug pull happens to all of us at some point. And so I find the little moments throughout life that prepare us to be more adaptable help us when those big moments come to kind of meet them and pivot, which are inevitable. So yeah, I would say adaptability is your saving grace. Is the big one that I kind of lean on a lot in my life.
Yeah, I love this. There's this one energy in the gene keys, which is about change. That's the only
Uh-huh.
constant we ever have. We gotta adapt with change. Yeah.
Yeah. Which one is that?
The 35th gene key.
I thought so. I have this like little,
Yeah.
I have this like thing. It's just my
Oh,
part. It's
cool.
my partner and I and all of our things. And
Oh, that's
oh no, it's a
awesome.
different one. I thought it was 35. That's like we have ones that in a reading the person was like, these like listen to these, or because I have the audiobook, like listen to these
Mm,
4 or 5. They're like your conjunction, not conjunction, but like
mm.
points where
Yeah,
you
yeah.
these keys are like valuable for your relationship. And
Mm.
I've listened to them. I love that that book is free on Spotify and you can just listen to any gene, like you can just pick one, 14, and just listen to it on a random
Yeah, I
Tuesday.
know the Jinkies are incredible. I love them so much. There's so much wisdom. And there are other ones. It's not that's not the only one where it talks about change. There are other ones where it's about versatility and how
Mm-hmm.
we're all in some way multi-passionate in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
right? Some are more, some are less, but yeah, there's so much wisdom there. So thank you so much, Luna.
Thank
It was
you.
such a joy, such a pleasure. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And yeah, it was awesome to connect with you.
Yeah, you too. I really enjoyed myself, and I hope that your audience enjoys it as well. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, listeners, for being here with us today. I'm sure you enjoyed this episode deeply, and I'm excited to be back with you all on the next episode. Ciao, everyone.